The alarm goes off, your eyes open, and before your feet even touch the floor, you are already exhausted. Not a little tired, not groggy, exhausted. Like you never slept at all. You lay there for a moment and you think, I got 8 hours. I did everything right. And still this, you drag yourself to the kitchen. You make the first coffee before you've even said a word to anyone. And within 90 minutes, you need another one. By 2 in the afternoon, you are sitting in front of your screen and there is nothing there. The words aren't forming. The ideas aren't coming. The drive that used to define you has been replaced by this low chronic grinding fog that no amount of sleep, no amount of caffeine, no amount of motivation seems to touch. And so you do what most people do. You search online, you try the sleep trackers, you try the supplements from the grocery store. Maybe you go to a doctor and they run a basic panel and tell you your numbers look normal, get some more rest. Maybe try managing your stress better. And you walk out of that office feeling like you are completely alone in this, like something is wrong with you that nobody can explain. I want you to stop right there because I have analyzed over 50,000 human biomarker files in my career. 50,000. And I want to tell you something that no pharmaceutical company, no insurance-driven healthcare system, and no standard GP appointment will ever tell you your body is not broken. It is just starving. And the thing it is starving for is not more sleep. Sleep is not the problem. Sleep is the symptom. The real problem is happening at a level so small you cannot see it inside the energy factories of every single cell in your body. And until you address what is happening there, you can sleep 10 hours a night for the rest of your life and wake up feeling exactly the same way. This is not medicine. This is biology. And once you understand what I am about to show you, you will never look at your fatigue the same way again. We have been sold an enormous lie about what rest actually is and what energy actually requires. The modern healthcare model looks at your fatigue and it gives you a diagnosis. It gives you a label: chronic fatigue syndrome, adrenal fatigue, depression, and then it gives you a pharmaceutical response to that label, a stimulant to get through the day, a sedative to get through the night. And the cycle deepens, the dependency grows, and the biology underneath it all continues to collapse. Because nobody ever looked at why your cells stopped producing energy in the first place. You are a biological machine. I mean that literally. You are not a metaphor. You are not a concept. You are a physical, chemical, electrical organism that runs on fuel. And that fuel has a name. It is called adenosine triphosphate, ATP. Every single movement you make, every thought you think, every heartbeat, every breath, every synapse firing in your brain right now, it all runs on ATP. And ATP is manufactured inside your mitochondria. These are the energy organelles inside your cells, and they are the most important biological structure you have never been taught to take care of. Here's what nobody tells you. You have approximately 37 trillion cells in your body, and inside most of those cells, you have hundreds to thousands of mitochondria, tiny, highly specialized energy factories. And their one job, their entire biological purpose, is to take in oxygen and nutrients and convert them into ATP. When they are functioning at full capacity, you feel alive, you feel sharp, you feel like the person you were designed to be. When they are not, when they are depleted, when they are damaged, when they are starved of the raw materials they need to do their job, you feel exactly the way you feel right now. Heavy, foggy, empty, and here is the part that should stop you cold. Sleep does not restore your mitochondria. Let me say that again. 8 hours of sleep does not restore your mitochondrial function. Sleep gives your nervous system a chance to consolidate memory. It gives your lymphatic system a chance to clear metabolic waste from the brain. Those are real and important processes. But sleep does not rebuild your ATP production capacity. Sleep does not reverse mitochondrial dysfunction. Sleep does not correct the nutritional deficiencies, the oxygen debt, the gene-level methylation failures that are silently destroying your energy production at the cellular level. So when you wake up from 8 hours of sleep and you feel like you haven't slept at all, your brain is not broken. Your mitochondria are not getting the raw materials they need to power you. And that is a biology problem with a biological solution. Now, I want to take you deeper into this because the mechanism matters. Inside your mitochondria, there is a process called the electron transport chain. This is the actual assembly line that converts oxygen into ATP. Think of it like a four-step production line inside a factory. If any one station in that production line is missing materials, the entire line slows, output drops, and it does not matter how much raw material is sitting at the front of the line if the machinery in the middle cannot process it. That is exactly what is happening inside the mitochondria of most chronically fatigued people today. The machinery is compromised, and the reasons it is compromised are specific, measurable, and almost entirely reversible. The first reason is functional hypoxia. Now, that is a term most people have never heard, and I want you to pay attention to this. Functional hypoxia does not mean you are not breathing. It means the oxygen you are breathing in is not reaching your cells at the level they need to produce energy efficiently. Your red blood cells may be carrying oxygen, but the delivery, the actual cellular uptake, is impaired, and the most common cause of that impaired delivery in otherwise healthy people is breathing mechanics, specifically chronic shallow chest breathing. Most people in the modern world have completely lost the ability to breathe correctly. We breathe into our chests, we breathe fast, we breathe through our mouths, and we never fully engage the diaphragm. The consequence is that your blood CO2 levels drop too low. And here is the counterintuitive part. You need carbon dioxide in the right ratio to oxygen to release oxygen from your hemoglobin into your tissues. This is called the Bohr effect. And when you breathe too fast and too shallow, you disrupt that ratio and your cells become oxygen starved even while you are breathing perfectly normally. That is functional hypoxia, and it is silently throttling your mitochondrial output every single day. The second reason is mineral depletion. Your mitochondria require specific cofactors to run the electron transport chain. Magnesium, potassium, sodium, trace minerals, these are the biological catalysts of energy production. And the modern diet, the processed food system, the municipal water supply stripped of natural minerals, it has created a generation of people who are mineral deficient at the cellular level. You may be eating enough calories, your macro numbers may look fine, but if your cells are operating without adequate magnesium, your ATP production is like trying to run a high-performance engine on the wrong grade of fuel. The engine runs, but it runs badly. It runs expensively, and it burns out faster. The third reason is methylation failure, and this is the one that changes everything for most people when they finally understand it. Methylation is a biochemical process that happens over 1 billion times per second in your body. It regulates gene expression. It regulates neurotransmitter production. It regulates your body's ability to detoxify, and it directly controls your cellular energy metabolism. Now, there is a gene called MTHFR, the methylene tetrahydrofolate reductase gene. Approximately 44% of the human population carries a mutation in this gene, not a disease, a mutation, an inefficiency. And what this mutation does is reduce your body's ability to convert folate and B vitamins from the food you eat and the supplements you take into the biologically active methylated forms your cells can actually use. So you may be eating well, you may be taking a multivitamin, and your body is simply unable to process those nutrients into usable form. You are nutrient sufficient on paper, and you are functionally starving at the cellular level. The fourth reason is circadian biology disruption. Your body operates on a 24-hour biological clock called the circadian rhythm, and this clock controls far more than when you feel sleepy. It controls your cortisol curve, your insulin sensitivity, your cellular repair cycles, your mitochondrial biogenesis, the actual creation of new mitochondria. When you expose your eyes to artificial blue light at night, when you eat at irregular times, when you never get morning sunlight on your skin, you are not just disrupting your sleep. You are disrupting the biological timing system that tells your mitochondria when to regenerate and repair. And without that signal, they don't. They degrade over time every single day, and your energy output drops steadily until you reach the point where 8 hours of sleep feels like nothing at all. Now, I am going to give you the protocols. These are not suggestions. These are not lifestyle tips. These are biological requirements, non-negotiable raw materials that your body needs to restore mitochondrial function, correct functional hypoxia, replenish your mineral substrate, and reset your circadian biology. Give your body the raw materials and it will do what it was designed to do. This is not medicine. This is biology. The first thing I want you to start doing tomorrow morning, and I mean tomorrow, not next week, not when it feels convenient, is diaphragmatic breath work before you touch your phone, before you make coffee, before you speak to anyone. You're going to spend 5 to 10 minutes doing slow, full diaphragmatic breaths. Here is exactly how. Lie flat on your back. Place one hand on your chest and one hand on your belly. Breathe in slowly through your nose for a count of 4, and as you inhale, you push your belly hand up, not your chest hand. Your belly. Your diaphragm is contracting and pulling air into the base of your lungs. You hold at the top for 2 counts. Then you exhale slowly through your mouth for a count of 8. Long, controlled, complete exhale. You do this for 5 to 10 minutes every single morning. What you are doing is restoring your CO2 to oxygen ratio. You're retraining your nervous system out of the chronic fight-or-flight shallow breathing pattern that modern life has locked most people into. You are activating the parasympathetic nervous system, the biological state in which cellular repair, mitochondrial regeneration, and ATP synthesis all accelerate. The research on this is not new. The Brecka method, the work coming out of sports science labs, my own analysis of biomarker shifts in clients who implement this protocol, the data is consistent. 5 to 10 minutes of correct diaphragmatic breathing in the morning shifts your oxygen utilization for the entire day. This is not meditation. This is biochemistry. The second protocol is one that most people completely overlook, and it may be the single highest return intervention I have ever given to a chronically fatigued person. The moment you wake up, before coffee, before food, you are going to drink 16 to 20 ounces of filtered water with a quarter teaspoon of Celtic sea salt or Himalayan pink salt stirred into it. That is it. That is the protocol, but the biology behind it is profound. When you have been asleep for 7 or 8 hours, your body has been in a fasted, relatively dehydrated state. Your interstitial fluid volume is low. Your mineral substrate is depleted. And when you drink plain water on an empty stomach first thing in the morning, the majority of it passes through your system too quickly to be properly absorbed at the cellular level. It is hydration theater. You're drinking water, but your cells are not actually getting hydrated. The salt changes everything. Sodium and the trace minerals in Celtic or Himalayan salt act as cellular co-transporters. They allow water to actually cross the cell membrane and enter the intracellular space where your mitochondria live. You are not salting your water for taste. You are creating the ionic environment that allows your cells to actually absorb hydration. And when your mitochondria are properly hydrated and mineral replete first thing in the morning, their ability to initiate ATP production is dramatically improved. People report within 3 to 5 days of this protocol that their morning energy is different. Not slightly different, noticeably, palpably different, because you are giving your biological machine the fuel it needs before you ask it to perform. The third protocol is morning sunlight. And when I say morning sunlight, I am not talking about looking out a window. Glass filters the specific frequencies of light that trigger your circadian clock. I am talking about stepping outside within 30 minutes of waking up and getting direct natural light on your skin and into your eyes, not staring at the sun, just facing the direction of the sky for 10 to 20 minutes. No sunglasses, no SPF for that first window. Your skin and your retina contain specialized photoreceptors that detect specific wavelengths of morning light, particularly the infrared and UVA spectrum, and that signal travels to your suprachiasmatic nucleus, the master clock in your hypothalamus, and it sets your entire biological clock for the day. When that clock is set properly, your cortisol curve is correct. Your cortisol should peak within 30 to 45 minutes of waking and then steadily decline throughout the day. That cortisol peak is not stress. It is your biological wake signal. It is the hormonal alarm system that is supposed to give you energy, drive, and focus in the morning. But in people who never see morning light, this curve is blunted, delayed, or inverted. Their cortisol is low when it should be high and elevated at night when it should be falling. That is why they cannot wake up and cannot wind down. And the fix is not a pharmaceutical intervention. It is 10 minutes of morning sky exposure. Because aging is the aggressive pursuit of comfort. And one of the most common forms of comfort seeking in the modern world is staying inside behind glass, under artificial light, disconnected from the biological signals that your circadian system requires to function. Also, and I want to be very direct about this, if you can, put your bare feet on the earth for those 10 minutes. Grass, soil, sand. This is called grounding or earthing. The research coming out of the Journal of Environmental and Public Health and multiple independent laboratories shows that direct skin contact with the Earth's surface allows free electrons from the Earth's field to enter your body. Those electrons are powerful biological antioxidants. They quench the inflammatory free radicals that accumulate from poor mitochondrial function, processed food, electromagnetic exposure, and chronic stress. You do not have to believe this is spiritual. You do not have to call it anything. It is electron transfer. It is physics. And for people with chronic fatigue, the reduction in systemic inflammation they experience within 2 weeks of daily grounding is measurable in their biomarkers. The fourth protocol is the one that has changed more lives in my clinical work than possibly anything else I have implemented. Methylated B vitamins, not synthetic folic acid, not cyanocobalamin, methylated B vitamins, not synthetic folic acid, not cyanocobalamin, specifically L-methylfolate, which is the active form of folate, and methylcobalamin, which is the active form of B12. Remember what I told you about the MTHFR gene mutation affecting 44% of people. If you carry that mutation, and statistically there is nearly a 1 in 2 chance that you do, your body cannot efficiently convert the standard forms of these vitamins found in most supplements and fortified foods into the biologically active methylated forms your cells can use. So you may have been supplementing with B vitamins for years and receiving almost none of the benefit because you have been taking the wrong form, the form your body cannot process. When you supplement with methylated B vitamins, and I want to be clear that this is not a complex, expensive protocol, you are bypassing that genetic bottleneck. You are delivering the finished bioavailable product directly to the cell. And what happens in people with MTHFR mutations when they switch to methylated forms is frequently described as feeling like someone turned a light on, because suddenly the methylation cycle is running efficiently. The neurotransmitters it produces, serotonin, dopamine, norepinephrine, are being synthesized correctly. The cellular energy pathways that depend on methylation are no longer starved, and the mitochondria begin to produce ATP at a rate that your body has not experienced in years. This is not a pharmaceutical breakthrough. This is basic nutritional biochemistry. Give your body the raw materials and it will heal itself. That is what biology does. That is what it has always done. Now, I want to give you the 7-day protocol. This is the game plan. This is what I want you to do starting tomorrow morning for 7 consecutive days without exception. Day 1 through day 7. Every single morning you wake up, and before you do anything else, before the phone, before coffee, before conversation, you do your 10 minutes of diaphragmatic breathing on your back. Belly rises, chest stays still, 4 counts in through the nose, 2 count hold, 8 counts out through the mouth. When you finish the breath work, you immediately drink your 16 ounces of filtered water with a 1/4 teaspoon of Celtic or Himalayan salt. You drink it slowly over 5 minutes. Then you go outside, barefoot if possible. You stand in direct natural light for 10 to 20 minutes, no sunglasses, face toward the open sky. Let your skin absorb that morning light spectrum. Let your feet touch the earth if you can. Then and only then you come inside, and with your first meal of the day, you take your methylated B complex, L-methylfolate, methylcobalamin, and the full spectrum of B vitamins in their active methylated forms. You eat real food for breakfast. Not a processed bar, not a shake from a bag. Whole eggs, quality protein, healthy fat, real food. And you do this every single day for 7 days. On the nutrition side, for these 7 days, I want you to eliminate 3 things that are actively sabotaging your mitochondrial function. Processed seed oils, canola, soybean, vegetable oil. These are industrially extracted, chemically unstable fats that integrate into your cell membranes and damage the very structure that your mitochondria depend on for proper function. Refined sugar, specifically fructose in processed form, it drives mitochondrial inflammation faster than almost any other dietary input, and alcohol, at least for these 7 days. Alcohol is a direct mitochondrial toxin. It is metabolized in the liver through a pathway that generates free radicals and depletes the NAD+ that your mitochondria need to run the electron transport chain. You are not giving up alcohol forever. You are giving your biology 7 clean days to show you what it is capable of when it is not being poisoned. At night, for these 7 days, the lights in your home go warm and dim 2 hours before bed. No overhead fluorescent or LED white light. No screens after 9 unless you are wearing high-quality blue light blocking glasses. Your sleeping environment should be cold between 65 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit, completely dark and free of electromagnetic interference. Put your phone in another room, not on silent, in another room, because your mitochondria do their primary regenerative work between the hours of 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. during slow wave deep sleep. And if your environment is not biologically aligned for that process, if your circadian clock has not been properly set by morning light, if your room is too warm, if your nervous system is still processing blue light, that regenerative window closes and you wake up depleted again. By day 3 of this protocol, most people report that their morning energy is different. It is not a dramatic shift, it is subtle, but it is real. The heaviness begins to lift. The fog begins to clear at the edges. By day 5, the majority of people I have worked with report that they are waking up before their alarm, not because they are anxious, because their biology is functioning, because their cortisol curve is correct, their cells are hydrated, their mitochondria have the raw materials they need, and their bodies are doing what they were always designed to do. By day 7, people often tell me they feel like themselves again. Not the medicated, caffeinated, supplemented version of themselves that modern life has created, their actual biological self. Now, I want to speak to you directly about what happens if you do not do this, because I want you to understand something important. Not acting is a choice. Staying exactly where you are is a biological decision with biological consequences. Every morning you wake up exhausted and reach for caffeine instead of addressing the underlying mitochondrial dysfunction. You are deepening that dysfunction. You are training your cells to rely on external stimulants because they have lost the capacity to generate endogenous energy. Every night you go to sleep without correcting your circadian biology, you are losing another regenerative window. The mitochondria that could have been repaired weren't. The ATP that could have been restored wasn't. And over time, this is not a dramatic statement. This is a clinical observation from 50,000 biomarker files. Over time, this trajectory does not plateau. It declines. The exhaustion you feel today at 35 becomes the chronic disease of your 50s if the biology underneath it is never addressed. Your body is not broken. It is not aging faster than it should. It is not mysteriously failing you. It is starving, and it has been starving quietly and systematically because the world you live in was not designed for your biology. The food is not designed for your biology. The light environment is not designed for your biology. The pace, the screens, the processed everything, none of it is designed for the biological machine that you are. But here's the truth that should give you absolute confidence. Biology is not complicated. It is consistent. Give your body the raw materials, the oxygen, the minerals, the light, the methylated nutrients it needs, and it will respond. Not in 6 months, not after an expensive intervention. It will begin to respond within days because your body wants to be well. It was built to be well. It is not waiting for a prescription. It is waiting for you to stop removing the things it needs and start supplying the things it was designed to run on. This is not medicine. This is biology. And biology does not lie. Start tomorrow morning. Breathe first. Hydrate with minerals. Get into the morning light. Take the methylated B vitamins with your first real meal. Do that for 7 days and then come back and tell me your body feels the same. I have never once seen it fail when the biology is followed because you are not broken, you are not diseased. You are a biological machine that has been running on the wrong inputs. And the moment you change the inputs, the machine begins to come back online. That is not a promise. That is chemistry.